This is Evie Bella, aka Vanilla B. Um, I'm a new YouTuber. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Hopefully, you like my video. I decided to do my first video as a experience with that I've had with Lyft so far. I've been driving Lyft for about a year and a half now, and I did do it out of necessity. I mean, I guess like all of us, you can never have enough money, right? So I've been doing it for a year and a half. I mean, it's pretty basic. You download the app. It's kind of like a walkthrough thing to where it just like tells you what to do next and next and next. But anyways, so some things I didn't know when I started doing Lyft is, where are you supposed to go? Like, do you just drive around? Are you supposed to sit somewhere? Is there like areas assigned for Lyft? Um, I didn't know what I know now. There's probably more out there that I still don't know, but so far the year I've done it, it's been good. It's been able to fulfill the needs I have, which is paying rent in the Bay Area, and just paying my bills and everything. This is not my only job. I take it more as a side thing than I do as an actual, like, I don't consider it a real job. I'm sorry if you're doing Lyft and this is your, I mean, props to you because you know how to do it. Because obviously, I guess I don't, because I'm doing like it on the side. I don't feel like I could live off of it, to be honest. But if that is the only thing you do and you are, then I'm amazed at that. Like, if people can do that, I'm amazed, because you gotta really put in effort. It does tire you out. I mean, you think you're sitting in a car and you're just driving around and I can do this, like I kind of thought that too. I was like, oh, I could put so many hours in and do this and that. But you get tired. I mean, maybe I'm old, but your back starts hurting, you start getting sweaty. It just gets uncomfortable. And then when you gotta go to the bathroom, it's like you gotta go stop somewhere. Um, so yeah, so I kind of just wanted to tell you guys one thing I did not know, because I was kind of just driving around or sitting around in parking lots and stuff, like, when is this thing gonna beep? And so one thing I didn't know is that you go to the airport. So I'm in the Bay Area, so I'll go to the San Jose airport and sit there. There is a waiting area for Lyft and Uber, and you'll know because there's heck of cars. There's a heck of cars parked there. And it's not like you're gonna go there and fight for your spot, right? As soon as you get near that area, your phone app thing automatically like puts you in a queue, and they'll say there's 53 people ahead of you, or there's 10 people ahead, and they'll start doing they'll do a countdown, like the closer you're getting. It does also have a time like on your map where it says like, oh, there's 25-minute to 30-minute wait, or something like that. And that's kind of what you really have to base it off of, which I did not know either. I was like, what is this? What do these red thingies mean and all this? So anyways, so whenever it has like a high wait time, I feel like there's no point in going. Because, and this is just my opinion from my experiences I've had, it's like you're just sitting there and you're like, oh my god, like, how long is this gonna take? Like, sometimes the numbers will move by like fast, but sometimes they go like hella slow. And so I'm like, oh my god, like, it'll start off at like, I've been there one time when it was 104, and I was like, yeah, whatever, it's gone by fast other times, like, whatever, I can wait, it's not like I have something to do anyway, so I'll sit there and read a book. And so I was just like, why is this thing not moving? Like, it was barely at 90, 80, and I was just like, oh my god, like, damn. And so yeah, to me, it's just, I feel like it's not worth it, because you'll end up getting like one ride, and let's say they're not that far, it'll probably be like $12, 15. And then I mean, by then what I do, if I drop someone off that I just got at the airport, I'll drive back to the airport and hopefully I'll get another ride. But if I don't, it's like I gotta go put myself back in that 1 hour queue or whatever it is. Or sometimes what the app does too is, if it was a short ride, sometimes it'll throw you back in the queue. So, I mean, that's kind of nice. But still, like I mentioned, if the wait is something crazy, or if it's like 30 minutes, I feel like it's not, because I don't know. It's up to you, but to me, I'm just like, I've had other days where it's like I'm sitting there for like 15 minutes and I'll get a ride, so I feel like that's worth it. But I mean, it just depends. Another thing is I usually drive Monday through Friday. I don't like to do weekend nights because I just don't want people in my car that are drunk, that might throw up, that can start acting, inappropriate or whatever it be. I did try it. I'm not gonna say I didn't. I did try it, and the one time that I did try it, it was Sunday night, and I was bored at home. I was alone that day, and I was like, I'm just gonna go out there and see what's up. Like, I mean, a lot of people say, oh yeah, that's when you should go and do it. And so I did try it. I did have an experience that I don't know if I want to share. I did pick up some drunk people that had dropped off at a bar. They were being super loud. My car was full. Like, every single seat was full. They're like, oh, turn up the music, which I don't mind. I mean, that's cool. The funner the ride, the better. And that's what I like about it too, that you meet different people and you get different stories and all kinds of stuff. So I really like that about it. I did pick up somebody who's very, very drunk. They I mean, I don't even know how she walked in my car, but she was in my car, and she was sitting in the back seat, and she was just, I was like, is she talking to herself? But she just sounded like, I don't want to share like everything because it was uncomfortable and it was just awkward, and I was like, is she gonna beat me up? Because I guess, I mean, obviously she was drunk or on something, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat the out of so and so and this and that, and then she turns around and looks at me, because I mean, I picked her up from a house that looked like they had a party. It was like a house party, and so I picked her up, and she leans over to my chair and she goes, who are you? And I'm just like, I'm the person who picked you up. And then she goes, were you at the party? And I'm like, no, they just called me to pick you up to take you home. And she kept talking to herself, and I was like, oh my god. I'm like, why did I pick her up? Like, I should have declined it. But in the moment, you don't really think. You're just like, oh, I'm picking someone else up. Like, hurry up, get in, get out, and we're done. So I was driving her and stuff. And then when I'm, like, getting close to her location, I mean, it's dark outside. And so I'm driving down, like, a bunch of houses, a road with houses. And I go, which house is it? Because you couldn't even see the numbers on the houses. And she's like, oh, it's the one with the white fence. And I'm like, and I'm like, all the houses around there had a white fence, and I was like, on the left or on the right? And then she goes, it's like the third house down. And I'm like, oh my god, she doesn't know where she lives. And I was just kind of driving slow, and then I saw somebody, like an older man, I don't know if it was her dad, because she was like probably like in her 20s, or maybe 20s, 30s maybe. And I saw an old man like come out and wave, and I was like, oh, it must be there. And so I kind of just pulled in, and she could not get out of the car. I was like sitting there. I already had another ride coming up in the queue, and she would not get out of my car. And I was like, what do I do? And so I get out of the car, and I'm like, I'll just help her. And so I get out of the car, and I open the door, and I go, do you need help? And then she looks at me all weird again, like if she, I don't know, she just looked at me like she was like, am I gonna get slapped right now? She goes, were you at the party? Like, she does it again. And I was like, no, I just came to pick you up and drop you off. I'm just your driver. Like, I'm just driving you home. And she looks at me like all weird, like she's still processing in her head. And so I'm like, oh my god, like, And so she drops her stuff when she gets up, and I pick it up and I go, here's your stuff, you dropped it. And she looks at me again and she goes, are you sure you weren't at the party? And I was like, no. And now that I think of it, that was some fucking like, oops, pardon my language. That was some like Pennywise stuff, like, hey Georgie. But anyways, yeah, so then she's like, no, I can do it. And she gets up and she's like falling over. And I'm like, I mean, she was very skinny. So I was like, okay, I think I can, kind of carry her or whatever. So I had to walk her to her door. She was falling because of how drunk she was. And I was just like, wow, I can't believe that. Anyways, here's the creepier part. So that was a Sunday night. On Monday, I had my kids. And my boyfriend was driving my car, and we had gone to 7-Eleven. And I stayed in the car. I was sitting in the passenger seat. And I like leaned the passenger seat back a little. And I turned to my side. And I see a knife on the floor. Like a steak knife. Like a regular knife you use in the kitchen. I see it on the floor. And I told my son, because he's older. I go, hey, why is there a knife on the floor? But this like freaked me out because she was the last person I picked up and she was sitting where the knife was at. And so and then my son goes, what do you mean? He's like, we told you, remember? We told you there was a knife on the floor. And I was like, no, you didn't. He's like, yeah, we did. It's just that you weren't listening. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, since when has that been there? And then he's like, I picked him up Monday. So they're like, we saw it since Monday and we told you. And I was like, oh wow. Like, I do not want to see that ever again. Like, I was like, she was not all there. Like, when I picked her up and like the way she was talking and everything. And it was just like, I'm lucky to be telling this, to be talking and saying this story. And, I mean, it was I felt like it was too late to report it. And, I mean, nothing happened. So I figured, what was the point? And so, yeah, I mean, that was like, that just made me not do Lyft at night anymore, to be honest. I do carry pepper spray now, because I didn't have anything in my car before, like in case of something, because I just thought, you have the app, it has their information, it should be fine. But after that happened, I'm like, I need something. I need a taser or something. I was actually going to buy a taser, but when I went to Fry's, which is where I got my pepper spray, they're kind of expensive and I was kind of broke. So I was like, I can't get a taser right now, so I'm just going to get pepper spray, so at least I have something. So yeah, nothing's really happened for me to go and buy the taser. But I do have pepper spray in my car. I have never used it before. I feel like if I ever do have to use it, I'm just gonna be like, I might even spray it at myself or in my hand or something. I'm just like, I mean, those situations are so, when you're out of it or like outside the box, it's like you can see and be like, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. But when you're in the situation, it's just like, I don't know. It's like those times where you get hurt. Like, I know one time I smashed my finger in a car door. Like, I slammed the door myself and my finger was right there. And I didn't believe that thing where they say, like, you get in so much pain that you're like, you become like where you can't talk. Like, you can't say anything. Like, it's like you're just so much in shock, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like you can't really control it. It's like you're in shock. And so yeah, that was not a good experience. So like I said, if you're a girl and you do not want to go through weird stuff like that, Or maybe even worse, you know, you never know what's out there, really. Um, you go to the airport. I mean, the airport, I mean, those people will most likely tip you more than somebody you pick up off the street that's drunk, because they're not going to tip you. Come on. Um, Airport people usually tip you. They're business people. They're on business trips sometimes, or people who just came back from vacation. Their families. I have had families in my car. I've had usually if there's a family and they have a kid, they're supposed to have a car seat. I mean, that's cool if you carry them as courtesy and you like have them for in case you need them. That's cool, but yeah, if there's kids that are going in your car, you need to have a car seat, and usually they do. One time I had a full car and it was a family and they had a kid and they brought their own car seat and everything. I was like, damn, you gotta carry all that. And so yeah, I mean, that's my experience with Lyft. But yeah, it does make a decent money for the time you spend, and for the gas too. Gas is expensive also here in California, but even then it covers my expenses. It really does. My car fills up with about $40, and that's when the tank's like hella empty. So it fills up with like $40. My gas tank is about, I'm gonna say it's 12 gallons, my whole tank. But obviously it doesn't ever get down to where I fill it up to 12, because you know I'm not gonna leave it on empty and push my car to the gas station. So yeah, it's usually like 11 something that I'll end up filling up on my car. And that's how much I spend. I'll spend like $40. And my gas, I mean, it does make sense, and it does add up, like when you consider how far you went for a ride and how much you got for it. So it's not like you're all spending it all on gas. You do have to consider that you are going to be doing more oil changes though. You're putting miles on your car, and people will go in your car and slam the doors. And if you're that type of person, you're like, I don't like my car being abused of, or like, oh my god, they slammed the door, then that's you ain't gonna last long. Because I've had my doors slammed so hard, like just the passenger doors or the trunk. I've had people like who have sat in the front with me, and they'll like grab onto that handle, and they'll yank on it. Like they're not even just holding it, like they'll yank on it. And I mean, I drive to where like I'll try to stay away, like almost like a full car away from the front car, because I don't want them freaking out. It does get awkward to where like if you're driving really far, like sometimes it's just dead silence, or like it feels like it just feels like, are they judging my I wonder if they're judging my driving, you know, like, or sometimes I'm like, oh dang it, I should have gone in that lane, or oh man, I wonder if they're in a rush. Like, I'm the type of person that when I'm driving, I'll usually be like, I'm trying to get there as quick as I can. I mean, I'm not going to speed or do nothing crazy, right? But sometimes I'm like, I don't know if they'll get bothered, like if I'm changing lanes like a lot to try to get in and out of traffic and stuff. But other than that, like I haven't had any complaints actually. I've had people tell me, well, the ones that I've read, I've heard people tell me, oh, I love your car, you're such a great driver. I've had people tell me also, oh, thank you so much for getting me here so quick, like you're so good, like, and I mean usually they'll give you a tip. So yeah. So I think that's all I have to say about Lyft. Like I said, it's a great option to have on the side, and props to those who do it as a full-time thing, because it's tough. It's fun, but it is tough. It is a job. Anything that has the word job in it obviously is not going to be easy, and you do have to work hard for. And even though you're just driving a car, I mean, you get tired. Like that knocks me out. I'll come home and I'm dead. So yeah. Great talking to you guys. I hope you guys can like and subscribe, and I hope I can get some more content up for you.